What's up? This is Schmitty. Another episode of Talkin Schmit. Today on the program, we got the one and only Jacob Rupp. We're live down at Market Street, just hours before the Warriors Championship Parade. Warriors, Bay Area.
Wi-Fi check 1, Wi-Fi check 2.
PSA 2015, we were doing parades back then. Warriors.
A lot of chatter, a lot of doubters. You ain't ever been there before, bro. We've been there. We know what it takes. So to be here again, hold that.
Warriors. Today we're coming at you from the corner of Market and Drum Street. And I gotta tell you a little story. 1 year ago from yesterday, my fiance at the time, my bride-to-be right now, my wife, Sharal, and I came down to this corner to take our engagement photos with Andy Cuno. She was on roller skates, I on my skateboard. It was gonna be cute, you know. Turned into a big accident. It was on our anniversary. Yesterday was our 7-year anniversary. Warriors. Anyway, Sharal fell, broke her wrist. That was 1 year ago today. Yeah, Warriors in the house. We got a parade today, though. That was gonna be my point. 1 year ago today, on this corner, broken wrist. Today, Warriors Championship Parade. Here we go.
To see it in real time, holy cannoli.
Holy cannoli.
Yep.
In case you forget, world champs.
Head on down to your local shop. Ask Bloodwizard Skateboards. Or visit bloodwizard.com for all your conjuring needs.
Tickety-tack.
Hey, it's Corey at Blue Plate, 3218 Mission Street. Come see us. Meatloaf, fried chicken, deviled eggs, Dollar Olympia beers. We're here every day of the week. We got a garden and we got smiles on our faces. Come let us make you happy.
This is Jake Rupp, and you're listening to Talkin Schmit 2022.
But y'all gonna get this podcast.
Holy cannoli.
It's cool, like tonight is the night.
Big dog's in.
Do we really want to be here?
Everything's changed.
We on? Schmitty?
Talkin Schmit.
Talkin Schmit, dude.
You gonna come out different.
Shit my pants, lad.
Your Rolodex is fucking deep.
Holy shit.
It's about the one.
Who is this guy? Thinks he's tough shit.
What's up?
Come on, Schmitty, what the fuck?
Tell the skateboard police to come get me.
What is happening?
Let's hear it for Craig Smith. Yay!
Gregory.
All right. I think my next guest came onto my radar in about 1999 or 2000 when Josh Stewart launched the Static video, and homie made me feel some type of way about nollies and front side nose slides. And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, this is motherfucking Jake Rupp out in Maryland or Pennsylvania.
Right on the Mason Dixon line, split in half. I claim both states.
Okay, how you living?
Good, man. Thank you. Everything's fine. Moving along smoothly. I've been skating a lot lately.
Yeah.
Healthy, you know.
Okay. Do we relayer the ramp in the barn?
No, we do not, because first the barn would need to be relayered itself, like new roof.
Okay.
It leaks. There's so many pigeons and bat guano. I harvest the bat guano from my garden, which is cool. Yeah, it's high in nitrogen.
Yeah.
What's
your claim to fame in that garden? What's your favorite growth?
We do really good with tomatoes and peppers. We have a nice growing season.
Are you talking cherry tomatoes or Rome or what?
Roma, cherry, heirlooms. Ooh. We make a lot of salsa for the cafe.
Okay.
When the season's right. Everything, squash, zucchini. I make a mean pickles, man. Homemade
Pickles?
Yeah.
So how's the process for a pickle? Is it a cucumber and then you sit it in vinegar or something? How does it work?
A brine. Yeah. So there's a couple different kinds of, there's pickling cucumbers and there's like straight smooth ones for salads. So the pickling ones are a little firmer.
Uh-huh.
And then you make your brine, which is vinegar, salt, some sugar, pickling spice, dill, garlic, onions. Put them in there, just let it sit for a week. We call them like table pickles or cold pickles. I don't can them. So, because we eat them as they come out, you know.
Dude, what if we got you, Bailey, and Westgate together? We got the Cranberries, Westgate, and then we got fucking Avocado City with Bailey.
Yeah.
We just combine forces and we take over the whole industry.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if you threw the Musca in there too.
The Musca too.
Really cool shit going on.
Dude, that's sick. Are you into juicing?
Sometimes I go through health phases, you know. Okay. We have a juicer, just basic stuff.
All right. And what about, here's the big question. I'm guessing, well, you run a cafe. So are you into coffee or are you more like mate, tea, and tea?
Coffee. I drink a lot of mate. I drink the coffee though, all day long.
What's your go-to for coffee? How do you prepare it?
We have a grinder. So we grind the beans and we'd use just a drip, man. Just drip, old school.
Do you like it with a little hint of cream or sugar or anything, or just straight black?
Black, yep.
Oh, okay.
Dark and black. I like espresso.
Yep.
Yeah, strong and dark.
How many do you go through a day?
Personally, dude, I'm pretty chill, like 3 or 4.
3 or 4?
Espressos. I mean, and it fluctuates.
Uh-huh.
Depends on how much sleep, you know, and all that jazz.
I've been mixing mine up. I usually get a medium, the exact same blend every morning from my local Cafe Phil's. Mm-hmm. But I was talking to a nutritionist and they had given me this idea where, let's say you get a small instead of a medium a couple of days to fuck with your brain so that it's not dependent on the same amount of caffeine. And then it'll, like, your tolerance won't, you know what I mean? So you can play with it. And then, so if I get like a small for 2 days and then get a medium, the medium feels like I got 2 larges.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It's been fun, man. Okay. So tell me, born and raised out there, where were you born?
Right here in Carroll County, Maryland. It's about 30 miles north of Baltimore City.
Uh-huh.
And but the Mason Dixon line, which is the old line that separated the south from the north, it goes through my property.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. There's like markers out there. You know, historians will come out and check shit out sometimes.
So Civil War shit, right? Like it divided the North, the Yankees from the South.
Yeah, Gettysburg is like 30 miles the other way.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of cool to check out. A lot of history there.
I've been there.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. My uncle was a great historian for United States. So I went to Mississippi and went down to like Vicksburg and plantations and like Andrew Jackson's house and different stuff. And then we went to DC and checked out Gettysburg and the what's the cemetery? Arlington and all
Arlington, yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I went to like, you know, my high school and all that in Maryland.
Okay.
And hospitals, all that stuff. But my kids go to school in PA. It was just easier going that way, north.
Okay. So true or false, your kitchen is in Maryland, but your bathroom is in Pennsylvania?
False. Everything is in Pennsylvania. Corner of the property is in Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, so the ramp is in Maryland.
No, it's in PA. But you can throw a rock into Maryland. Literally, you could throw a rock into Maryland.
Oh shit. Okay.
And it would land on my property in Maryland. Yeah.
So how did you like get into skateboarding out there?
Yeah. Some local kids when I was, 11, 12, 11, had some boards like maybe Vision, maybe a Gator or something even. I kind of remember that graphic in town.
Mm.
Just the older kids, pretty standard, like, oh, that's cool. I want to try that. And my mom, we've always been in the restaurant business. So 30 years ago, we had a restaurant in the little town in Maryland.
Okay.
So there's sidewalks and grocery stores and pavement. And from, that 89, I guess, it was about 89, 90. That was it. It was over with.
First board was like 89?
First board was the Alva, Bill Danforth.
Some of you know who I am. Some of you don't.
Ooh.
With the slasher.
Yep.
Like speed balls or something. Trackers, blue trackers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you instantly like in tune with maybe magazines or something? Like, do you know about the industry and like, oh, this guy's amazing, or that's not? Like, did you have pictures on your walls and stuff?
Yeah, within a year or two. Was definitely reading Thrasher religiously.
Who were your guys? Was Bill Danforth one of your guy, or was that just coincidence?
Yeah, so that was just a coincidence because I feel like that board was more in the 80s and it was still hanging at the shop at that point.
Uh-huh.
I remember having like Heath Kirchard and the Foundation I really liked early on.
Okay.
A visual stereo video, a visual sound.
Yeah.
Remember, would cut ads out of Thrasher and make my own and stick them up.
Paulo Diaz, heavy influence?
Heavy influence. Man, have you seen his Instagram? I just look at his Instagram like, wow.
Yeah.
Heavy influence. Yeah. I still, it's just magical to me.
Right.
This whole deal.
Yeah.
Mike Dare was
shout out
one of my favorites, top 3.
For sure, he is so good.
So good, and that early SF stuff was magical.
Uh-huh.
And then I got to meet. Then I became friends with him once I got out there. It was cool.
Yeah, that's crazy to just like see your kind of like, I don't know if idol's too strong of a word, but like you see these guys you look up to, and then next thing you know, you're skating with them and you're kind of their equal. And I think a lot of times that's what people have said that is so cool about skateboarding. It's not like NFL where like you can't, you're never going to be like going to play catch with Jerry Rice, but like you might skate a hill with Donnie Barley.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, Donnie Barley's a big influence too.
He's got to be.
Big supporter of mine. He was always in my corner and helped me out a lot.
Sick. Donnie's a shit. I mean, the Eastern Exposure, that's one of your top vids probably.
Yeah, because I would have been like 15 at that point when that started to come out. And then that was big time. That whole Dan Wolf era. And I was local too, so those guys were around, like DC, Philly, like you would see, like, oh shit, they were in town. That's crazy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first glimpse, like in real life, like seeing somebody for the first time, like, oh shit, or skating with whatever came first? Was it a demo or whatever?
Yeah. Like early on, I remember seeing Bucky Lassick.
My shit's taken care of.
Oh yeah, he's from Maryland.
He's from Baltimore, yep. And he had there was Brandon Novak.
Shout out.
Who rode for Powell back then, his friend, and those guys were really, that was cool because I knew that was fucking Powell Peralta, Bucky Lassick.
Arguably the best vert skater of all time.
And it was like skating street too, frontside kickflip nose slide on this little curb ledge. That was so that could give you a reference. That was like 94, maybe 95. Like that trick had just came out. The kick frontside flip nose slide on a curb or leg.
Yeah.
I think around then, you know what I mean?
That's amazing. What's the origin story of your ramp? Like obviously you're living on an area that you probably need a ramp, otherwise you have to drive into town to get to the streets and stuff. So was that it, or how did it go?
Yeah. So we had the restaurant in town with a big blacktop parking lot. We were always building quarter pipes. That was the early days. And then in the barn, man, the first ramp in the barn, we didn't have templates. We used hay bales and just had the Masonite or Luan. I think it was Luan back then. And we would just have it somehow rigged up in there. And then got some older friends that were like, dude, we're going to build one. And we built a spine, originally a 6 spine. Oh, there's some old photos of it. And then build a decent mitting ramp, which is what most people are familiar with.
Right. I was talking to Pailes the other day, and I couldn't remember the actual trick, but in my mind, there's a photo. It might be just a stylish frontside ollie. Matt was saying he thinks it was a back tail, but I don't know. You probably know. Anyway, the lighting coming through the barn slats. It was like there's no lights, but the light from outside was coming in. It was like a beautiful picture.
It is. It's so photogenic. I think it was a frontside ollie, maybe.
Yeah.
John Maring shot some good photos there, but also McGrath had seen it once or twice. Dennis,
he was out there.
Yeah, he might have a photo that floated around.
Okay, interesting.
And the person that ripped it the hardest was Lucian Moon.
I'm not claiming.
He destroyed it. Through trips, he was out east and would come stay at the house here and there with the crew. But I'll never forget that. He destroyed it.
Huh.
Yeah, straight from Soma Count, or where, he's from up there somewhere.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. Like maybe from where Sava's from.
Okay, yeah.
Where's your first free thing? How do you get like hooked up from a shop? Did somebody give you a set of wheels? Like, what was your first free item?
Yeah. There was like a little shop that a local shop, it was called Empire. And they had opened up, and this was like the early days of Pit Crew.
Yeah.
And Pit Crew is like an hour from me in Maryland. But it was this shop called Empire, and it was like the local shop, like shop sponsor, set of wheels, whatever, grip tape. But then that faded within a year. And I went to Pit Crew immediately, was like, come hang with us. And then through that, I don't know if I rode for this little company called Coffee with Pat Smith and Steve Ball.
Shout out.
It was Coffee Skateboards?
Yeah, out of Annapolis, Maryland. And Gordon Eckler.
Oh my goodness.
So it was a cool crew.
Huh, yeah, Gordon's out here now.
Yeah, I see him sometimes. Yeah, on Instagram. Yeah.
Right. Okay. What was Pit Crew's deal? Where did the name, like for me, when I saw Pit Crew, I'm thinking Pittsburgh, but it was Maryland.
Yeah, they're into cars, like rally cars.
Oh, okay. So the Pit
Crew, yeah.
Okay. It was NASCAR?
No, like more
F1?
like the rally cars, or is that?
Oh, rally cars.
Like 10 block, mate, like that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, not NASCAR. That's like where I live, NASCAR.
Yeah.
And they were just so solid and 100%. The Tim and Malcolm are their names that own Pit Crew, owned it. They were just 100% skateboarders and were down to support the crew that skated in the area. It was Sean Mullendor was part of it,
Oh, okay.
And eventually Bobby Warris and some heavy hitters ran through there, yeah.
Oh, sick, yeah.
And it was a real shop sponsor. Like, here's some money, go to Tampa, go to Pittsburgh, take some boards, some shoes, whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, and that was at a time where like their name as a skate shop was almost on the level with like brands. It was like a skate shop you knew about even if you didn't live out there, like kind of like FTC,
Right.
Like there's Pit Crew, there was FTC. Now there's a whole bunch of shops that are doing it like, to that level. But I remember at that time, it was like, there was only a few skate shops you knew of countrywide at that time.
Yeah.
Pit Crew was one of them. What about Pat Smith? How did you guys get along and how did you get to know him?
He lived like 30 minutes from me and he's a little older. Yeah, we're like in the same area. You know how it was in the 90s, especially out here, like there wasn't a lot of skaters, so we all knew each other. And he was older and he could drive. And he's a skate rat. Like he is the fucking skate rat still to this day.
Yep.
So he saw me and was like, I want to hang out, like this kid, he needs to come hang out with me. And he took me around and we're best friends still,
Oh, really? You talk to him still?
Yeah. Yep. He's up in Brooklyn and he comes down here every once in a while and visit family.
Rad.
Yeah.
Pat's tight. When he moved to SF, he and I would film a bunch and cruise around. He's an opinionated person.
Yeah, for sure.
He's got the East Coast in him.
The history, like the Black Label and all this stuff. It's great.
Yeah. I've told this story before, but I think it's something you could relate to. When my friend Phil Shaw went back east and for the first time, I hadn't been back there as skateboarding hadn't taken me there yet. And Phil came back from the East Coast. And the first thing he said was Matt Reason. Like that was he was like him. He was like Matt Reason, Ricky Oyola. These dudes are how we need to skate. They never stop pushing and they never they don't go on public transportation. They just skate everywhere. And he's like, it was so sick. And he was hyped. Yeah. And I know those guys were big influences in your terrain as well.
Yes. Once I got a little older, like 16, 17, then I could make the trips to Philly. And I would go up there with this guy from DC. You might remember Greg Harris was his name.
Yep.
Yeah. He rode for some like nicotine, like that East Coast urethane crew. And then Silver Star he rode for. So he knew Rick and Serge and he brought me up there and introduced me to those guys in like 96, 97. And just like, I had like a pit crew sponsor maybe, but Rick was like, I got like Illuminati boards at one point. That was when they were on Zoo York.
Okay.
And that all faded out. And then he did Silver Star and Nicotine and First Division. And he was like, come with us, come with me. And that was cool for a couple of years.
Was that after Coffee?
That was after Coffee, yes.
So is Coffee kind of your first sponsor?
Yes, but briefly, though, there was a company out of Marco Island called Elite in Florida. Marco Island. It was called Elite Skateboards. A kid did it. And it was me and Scott Bazell.
Shout out.
Scott Bazell. Yeah, he's gnarly, a lot of pop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was called Elite Skateboards, man. The guy would send me like 3 boards and some shirts. It was cool, just the homie, but I also Elite, Coffee, and then, Silver Star and Nicotine.
So Silver Star was kind of, you were on there for more lengthy time. The other ones were kind of like briefer stints.
Briefly, and Silver Star was big. It was all over the world at that point. Ricky Oyola, Serge Tranowski, and then Capital Skateboard. They had Kevin Taylor.
Shout out.
Carlos Kenner, and we would mingle with those guys because it was all under the same umbrella.
Did you have like an Embarcadero or some type of place where you guys would all meet up and start like pretty regularly? Did you have like a hangout spot out there?
Not in my town, not in my area. I would go down to Pulaski.
Yeah.
Like I would leave high school at 3 and drive, it takes an hour to get there. I'd be down there by 4 or 5 and skate all evening. That was a big eye opener for me because that was a big scene. That Pep was around, Andy Stone.
Oh yeah.
Jim Gordy, Chris Hall.
Chris Hall, yeah.
Yeah, and those guys were already like established. They were doing it.
Was there any like things that you picked up in skateboarding? Like out here, I always say like we were kind of immediately in tune with when you land a trick, you don't look around to make sure anyone's looking. You know, they called it beaming. Like you don't look around to see if anyone saw what you did. Like, was there anything like that out there that were little things that you picked up immediately? Like, I can't kook it by doing this. Like,
yeah,
you know,
that's
like
no
black socks.
Yeah, I like your example. That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, we used to have the mini ramp champ that would do front side airs and stare at you, and you just be like, "You're a kook, you're cut." Like, you know,
the marathon line, the guy that drops in and never stops.
Right.
Like, fuck, man, come on! I learned that at an early age.
Yeah, try something you can't do.
Yeah, and you know, like a tail slide where your heel's dragging on the ledge, or a nose blunt slide's an even easier one to drag your heel. That's kind of, you know, that goes out the window.
Right.
Because it's like a prop, right? It's like well, you're not on the board, your foot's on the fucking ledge.
Did you guys what was your first skate trip? What did Silver Star go on a trip?
Yeah, it was epic, man. It was in like 97. Yes, we got in the van with Ricky Oyola, Kevin Taylor, Serge Kanowski, AJ Mizzou.
Oh, AJ.
Julius Reeves was the photographer. And we went down south and went over to New Orleans. We did demos into Texas, I think. It was in, you know, there's old footage somewhere in one of the videos.
411 or something?
Something like that, yeah. That was a big trip, and that was one of my first real trips, like in the van.
Were you nervous or just stoked or what?
I was a little nervous to like, I don't know if I could keep up with Rick smoking, you know, at that point in his life.
Yeah.
I was easy, but I knew those guys from skating Philly, so it was pretty easy transition, and we were all on the same page. They're just cool dudes, you know. Yeah.
Is that around the, like, when did you get into Rasta and all that?
About that time.
I
was really influenced by Fields.
Shout out.
Okay.
Matt Fields and Quim Cardona. And, you know, my good friend Craig and Satori from Satori.
Shout out.
We were, you know, younger and getting into that and figuring out different lifestyles and eating hallucinogenics. You know, let's, like, maybe we can eat better and stretch. And, you know, some of the Rasta philosophy. I could relate to, like, the gardening and the natural aspect because of living off the land and putting in shit into your body that's pure, not shit stuff. And those philosophies really struck with me, and the music, of course, like just tickled my soul. It still does. It's a you know, mystical religion. Those philosophies guided me in a positive way.
Okay.
Kept me out of trouble.
Yeah, and early on, I mean, Matt was a huge influence with that stuff, right? He was kind of one of the OG skaters that developed that, I mean, with iPath and everything, right?
Yeah. Okay. Those early real videos with Matt and his dog and like his young daughter at the time. Those were heavy, yeah.
Dude. And it was interesting to me too. There was a lot of you guys were really in the nollie game. You know, it's interesting. Yeah. Like
I have long legs. Like I have a shorter torso, but a longer lower body, and they just work for me. Nollies. They work for me.
What about fakie ollie? Do you think of it the same way?
No. Fakie feels like going backwards. But nollie it just felt good, man. And I was good at it. I got better at it.
Super good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, how important is the diet and stretching and stuff to you? Like, what kind of regiments are you working with that stuff?
Man, at 43, I'm pretty loosey-goosey. If it depends how I feel that day. I like to stretch. I'll lay on the floor, yoga ball. I try to have a balance with diet too. I'll eat anything basically, but I have a base of a plant-based diet and a knowledge of a lot of that, the health benefits and the benefits of juicing and how to juice. And because we did all that for a long years, and vegetarianism, veganism, studied it, read when we used to have books.
Yeah.
Books were so cool back then.
Right.
Yeah. And the philosophy books of about Rasta, about Eastern religions were a big part of our deal.
As a vegetarian or vegan, what is the key to how do you keep protein and these, what are you feasting off, tofu or what kind of things?
I always felt good. I love tofu, man.
I really like tacos.
I eat meat too. I eat
yeah. Okay.
I do. Yeah. A balance. That's as I got older, I learned that a balance was better for me than a strict diet.
Yep.
And when you're younger and we got into these Eastern philosophies and Rasta, I felt for myself, there was a tendency to be so fucking rigid. This is no Pornhub, no beer.
Yeah.
You can't be so rigid. For myself, I felt.
I've been tripping on this for a minute and a half, right? How come we're skateboarders? And what's the most important thing to us? Balance. And why did it take us so long to realize, if you drink, you don't have to drink 40 beers. Don't tip the scale one way, everything in moderation. In skateboarding, we know, balance is key. Life is balance as well. And so to throw it all in there, a little of this, but then a little of that, and
Yeah, that's some wisdom right there, buddy.
Crazy, right?
Talkin Schmit, dude.
I'm gonna think about that for the rest of the night.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, there's so many things. I'm like,
Whoa, that was heavy.
But stretching is so good, man. Just laying on the floor and just like a cat, that really helps in skateboarding.
Well, you mentioned your age. I did not. I've been scolded in the past that I'm not allowed to mention people's ages on the podcast, apparently. But as you've gotten older, when you wake up in the morning, is it a process, or are you good to go right out of bed? For me, I gotta do these neck exercises every morning just to kind of because I have arthritis in my shoulders and necks, so I get real, stiff, and so I need to loosen up. Are you good to go like a cat, or you got to do some morning?
No, I pretty much am up and going.
Oh, lucky.
And part of that is my brain. I don't my patience. I don't have much patience. That's why you don't see me do too many manual tricks over the years. But that coffee, man, or cigarette, tobacco, weed, that gets me going. Oh, dude, if I slam though that day, that next morning usually sucks more than it did 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah, my ankle is really, if I tweak my ankle, it's probably a month. That just a small tweak, I can feel it for a month, where it was before, it was a day and a half or 2 days. Or you put some arnica on it, or just wear high tops for a week. Now it's nope.
Yeah. So similar to that, those techniques were great for me, but now I have to wear a compression stocking for poor circulation on my left leg.
Okay.
Which is a weird age thing, for me, just to keep the circulation, because it swells up sometimes. So I have to wear the compression stocking. And I think some of that is from not skating as much, not being because when I was more active, it didn't swell up.
Yeah, blood circulation is super key.
And I cook, so I'm on my feet all day.
Oh, okay. If you were going to have people over and you wanted to impress them, what would your meal be that you would cook?
Coconut curry.
Ooh,
Yep.
that sounds bomb. I love coconut.
Short grain, organic brown rice. Ludenberg's is the brand. That's my favorite. Rice cooker, rice pot. Dude, I can fucking tear up a soup pot of rice too. I know how to do that.
Bro, I need that.
Because that takes a little bit more skill. But coconut curry, man, lemongrass, tofu. I like tofu, but if special guest, we can add shrimp or chicken.
Sick.
Bunch of vegetables. Yeah.
I asked Laban's vegan, and I was like, okay, you could have any meal for the day, like treat yourself, money is no object. And he was like, just a good avocado.
Oh, nice.
I was like, that's it. He's like, that's all I need. I was like, wow. Simpler times.
At the cafe here, we couldn't sell something like that. We sell Reuben's, breakfast sandwiches, club sandwiches, lunch meat sandwiches.
Okay. What's the name?
We have a panini machine for Reuben's press sandwiches.
Oh, sick.
The name is MJ's Cafe and Bakery. My mom's name is Mary Jo.
Oh.
It's my mom, I, and my brother Luke.
And she's been running it for 30 years?
So our cafe we have here for 5 years. Okay. Previous to that, we had a full-on restaurant with a bar for 55 years. Old school. Like my grandparents started it, and my mom took it over when she was a teenager with her mom, my grandma.
No way.
Like, dance floor, kind of honky-tonkish, fried chicken, steaks, seafood, crabs. We're in Maryland,
Dude, you got any photos?
Oh, yeah. It's a long, it was like what do you call it? It was an establishment in the area. Like, it was, I can't think of the word, but people went there, the community, you could get the news, see your friends, eat, catch up on the town happenings. That was 55 years. Like, I was born and raised in the restaurant and the bar,
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah, I had a pretty special childhood growing up in a place like that.
You left there for a while?
So my history with that is I would go to I would come to SF periodically for months at a time.
Oh, just couch surfer?
Yeah, just couch surfing. I never had my own place or would stay longer than like 5-6 months.
Oh, okay.
I'm a homebody, man. Like I miss home. And like the cities, like even going to, what we do, young kid, us skate, move to New York. I could stay in New York, but I would always have to come. It was just too much to be there for extended times.
Okay.
And when I was in SF, I was in the park half the time in Golden or at the beach, Awesome. But thankfully, man, my friends from San Francisco that invited me out were like, anytime you got a place.
Oh, rad.
And just be older now and look back on that. I mean, you know how it is to go to SF. It's sometimes can be difficult for younger skaters.
Yeah. These days, it's a much different world too. I mean, it's crazy out here. A lot of homeless, a lot of drugs, a lot of mental illness.
Yeah.
It's a serious concrete jungle right now.
Yes.
Yeah. What happened to Silver Star? Why'd you part ways? Did it go out of business?
So yes, it did. So the guy's name that owned that whole thing, his name was Mike Agnew, the money man, East Coast Urethane, which umbrellaed Silver Star. So, I think he just spent all the money. I think the rumor was he gambled it all away.
Oh.
Like the classic story, like dude didn't skate, but he was down and had money and could do this stuff. And I guess he was over it.
Okay. And then I heard a rumor through the grapevine that you called Toy Machine asking for Jamie Thomas after that.
I did. I think I did from fucking Dennis's house, Dennis McGrath.
Oh, really?
Because I was like in SF and I was getting bored, and I was getting a paycheck too, $200 from Silver Star. And it was like I think Rick had called. It was like within a day, it was done. Like Silver Star, Capital, Nick, it was like fucking gone. And I had met Jamie at Tampa, and he was stoked. He was like, "You ever want some boards? Call me." You know, I'm like, okay. So I had that in my head, and I'm like, I don't need money. I need some boards. So I called him, and I don't even remember if I talked to him. I don't remember the situation. But yeah, just like a young impulse thing. I was 18. I did ask for Jamie, but he told me to call him too, man. I met him in Tampa.
That's amazing. Let me talk to Jamie.
Some fucking stoner punk.
This guy's got bud.
I want to talk about the Static video though. That was like, it really was sick. That Josh Stewart's an amazing cinematographer. First of all, the video is iconic. And I mean, it was rad. And then you had a part that came in kind of in the middle of the credits. As like almost as an afterthought. Was that intentional, or was that back in the day where they used to edit tape to tape, so you had to put yours at the end, or like how'd that go?
Yeah, it was intentional on Josh's part, because he had been working on the video for a year or two, and he had, you know, all the rest of those skaters locked in and filming their parts. And he had cold called me. There's like this story of that when we used to just have to call people, and he got a hold of me up here in Maryland from Florida and was like, if you're coming to Tampa this year, you want to go on some trips. And within a month period, I had gone on some trips with him and had got enough footage for a part, but he had already was working on the editing for all these other guys. So he was like, let's throw you in the credit. So it was intentional.
Oh, okay.
And the static that was in the credits, it just worked out. And dude, they premiered it in Florida. It was so sick when it premiered, because everybody's like, yeah, good video. And then all of a sudden it's static, and it came my part.
What was the song again?
It was, I don't remember the artist, man, but it was like Indian, like tablas and tabla.
Yeah. Okay. Because in those days, you didn't need the rights to music. I mean, the soundtrack was like Cool Keith, Dinosaur Jr., Pixies. Like, it was an epic soundtrack.
Yeah. Josh Stewart, man, he's great.
Talk about that trip to California. That was kind of where you got most of your footage, right? You guys went cross country to California from back there?
Yeah.
Was that with Solego?
It was Solego, Sean Mullendor, Joel Meinholtz.
Shout out.
Steve Brandy, and me and Josh.
Was that crazy?
It was awesome. And we weren't even in like a van. It was like Josh's rodeo or something, you know, like a SUV.
Oh, shit.
And it was all funded by him and our, our money for it to eat and shit. We didn't have, I guess we had some board sponsors at that point, all of us. It was great, man. Joel Meinholtz, what a legend, Miami legend.
Yeah.
Lego's a beast. Mullendor, Steve Brandy.
Do you remember anything that sticks out from the trip? Was there one like crazy moment or anything that you remember?
Dude, Sean Mullendor, he's such a freak. I think he lasted like a day. We met in DC, and within 24 hours, he went back home to Maryland.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just like, it just wasn't his thing. He was too low key for that.
Uh-huh.
And then Meinholtz broke his arm one day. That sucked, the whole thing. That was crazy. Josh is all into aliens and conspiracy theories, so we went to Area 51.
Oh, did you?
And kind of geeked out in the middle of the night.
Uh-huh.
That was fun. That was epic.
Oh, yeah.
These are like the late 90s,
Yeah. I mean, traveling, I don't know if that was your first time across country, but like going across country and kind of probably still in that era. I think it's a little bit before phones. Like you've got the big map thing. I forget what it was called, Macaulay's or whatever.
Yeah.
And you got your points of references like, we're going to Flagstaff and then we're going to here. And in between is the Grand Canyon. We got to hit the Grand Canyon, you know?
Yeah. And having an atlas, like a road atlas.
Yeah, road atlas. Exactly. That's
it. Man.
Oh, fuck. Have you seen, Meinholz has these like high ollie contests in bars and stuff. I don't know if he's still doing it, but it was like, we did one in Austin, Texas, like years back. It was pretty funny.
Sick. I don't think I remember that or saw that one. That's cool. It sounds perfect.
Yeah. So how did getting on Element go?
Yeah. That was before cell phones too. Donnie Barley cold called me.
No way. Did you know him?
I knew him from Woodward because I had like washed dishes at Woodward and knew some people up there and met Donnie was a pro and worked there. So I knew him and he was cool. We were cool. And then since he was from, Connecticut, he would come down to Philly. He might have passed through Maryland or DC in the 90s. So I had seen him and he knew he was impressed with me. So he called and was like, we're going to put another person on the team. You want to come out here? Dude, they flew me out to San Diego with Bill Pepper and Kenny Hughes. That was my initiation to see if I passed the test.
Ooh.
Put me in a hotel room with them. And I had knew Kenny a little bit, but not Billy. I was a little bit intimidated by Billy.
Yeah.
Like because of the Big Brother shit, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of, they were intimidating.
Was that after Billy came into Thrasher too and hit Jake?
I forget, man. I think that was after. That's a great story. I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Yeah.
But we were in San Diego. It was like a trade show, and I wasn't on. Like I was flow. Like they flew me in, hang out with the dudes. We got super drunk. Billy drove down from Northern California in his white Acura that he just got. The next morning, he couldn't drive. He was like, dude, I can't drive. Can you drive a stick? I'm like 19, 20, and I can drive a stick, but I'm not real versed in it. I was like, fuck yeah. So I drove Billy Pepper up to San Francisco, and he was sobered up by then. I stayed in SF, and he went home. And he was like, he's put the dude on the team. Put him on Element.
He got me home. He's on.
And Kenny was like, of course, everybody. Reese Forbes, everybody was down.
Oh, right. Reese, too. Yeah. What about Tosh? You got a lot of Tosh Townin in your life, right?
Yeah. And in the beginning, he was little. Like, he was a kid.
Was he kind of like a surf protege that got into skating? He was more surfing before he skated or no?
I feel like both, but his dad is a famous surfer, right?
Yeah.
Like Australian.
Yeah, like gnarly.
Not the singer, Peter Townsend, right? There's Townsend, so yeah, gnarly surf culture that he was born into. But I think he did both, like I'm pretty, he was both. Like he did surf and skated a lot when he was younger.
Right.
But then when he was on Element, he was 100% skate or die.
Yeah.
And he was cool. Like he had so much energy, you know what I mean? It was, it was go time at any time with him around. It was fun.
Yep. He was on King of the Road with Element.
Dude, I couldn't go on that. Like I was supposed to go, but we had just gotten back from Japan. I remember that because I was bummed, dude. It was like, fuck, I could have gone on that. I think Brent might have been on it actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could have gone because DeWitt was around,
Yeah.
But I remember that was cool. I remember watching the show with Tosh on it and shit. The Element guys.
Have you talked to Tosh recently?
Just briefly through Instagram.
Is he doing all right?
He seems like he's doing well. Yeah,
okay.
down there in like Long Beach or Huntington.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think he was on a TV show about making fish tanks, and they made a quarter pipe to a fish tank, and he was skating the fish tank. I'm pretty sure.
No shit.
Yeah.
Cool. That sounds cool.
Some crazy shit. What was it like touring? Did you get to tour with Bam and Mike V?
Yeah, Bam was cool. Went to Japan with Bam. That was cool. And this is what that was early. That's when Bam was skateboard Bam. He was ripping. Mike V, we did demos and tours with Mike V, you know. I did my little ollies and he did his Mike V thing.
Mike V's he's a one-man demo, right?
Hell yeah, it was insane. Like the course fell apart. Like he burned it, he destroyed it every time. The rail from his foot planks, the railings were broken, holes.
Yeah. And he's gnarly. He'll drive the entire time. Like he's got it. And like he did that one trip by himself and he documented the whole thing. And he drove, he did the demos. He's playing music. Like that guy's got so much goddamn energy.
So much energy. And it would a little intimidating because we'd be smoking out the van. He didn't care. Huh. He like put the window up, you know, he didn't care.
Okay.
As an elder, you know, I respected him as an elder. Like, dude, we don't want to like fuck his shit up here.
Yeah.
Bunch of kids.
Well, did you guys get any special like 5-star treatment with like when you were going on certain trips compared to other trips? Like Bam had the most board sales, I think, in the history of skateboarding. Was he getting like the Jackass type of vibe or not till later or what?
Yeah. I'm gonna say from my start with Element to the end, we had 5-star hotels. It was pretty luxurious every fucking trip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They didn't skimp on anything at that point because Bam got on when I got on, right at the same time about.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, as soon as he got on, that money was coming in. and the offers were coming. People wanted us. They wanted the Element to come everywhere. Yeah. Colt Cannon was there.
Shout out. Colt's the homie. He grew up town down from me.
Okay, cool. Because when I was first out there back in the late 90s, I had met him in the city and he was like, yeah, just came down for the day. You know, I'm like, cool, man. That's cool. Before Element.
Yeah, he was on Think. I worked for Think and then Colt was on Think and then that didn't work out and he went to Element and that's where he got pro. And I mean, he was good.
Yeah, I want to say I met him through Pete Thompson that day.
Probably, yeah.
Might have been taking photos. This was, like you said, the Think times.
Well, when you pull up to hotels and demos and stuff, are there just girls everywhere and like tons of kids screaming? Like, is it pretty crazy?
Dude, it got a little crazy with that Bam madness. And that went on for years too.
People are showing up with 12 packs ready to party with Bam or like whatever.
Everything. Yeah. And he would disappear, you know, because he was probably at the mansion or somebody's mansion or whatever with whoever he hangs out with. We're at the hotel bar, you know.
Was he on a schedule though? Like I know Tony Hawk, when he goes on trips, sometimes he's up early and does radio interviews and all kinds of shit.
You would see like Ryan Kingman and Ryan DeWitt pulling their hair out. You're trying to deal with the scheduling. Yes, the interviews, the David Letterman, you know, all that shit, TMZ, whatever he was on.
Was he on Dave Letterman?
I don't know if he was on Letterman.
Dude, that's bucket list.
Dude, my friend Tom Colton from Lancaster he grew like this big squash, like this record fucking squash, and was on there back in the day.
Holy shit.
Funny stuff.
Oh, man. What about photos to video? Like, did you have a preference? Were you like into filming or shooting photos, or were you more of just like one of the guys that just wants to go and skate and not have that, like, what do they call it? The bail gun. And
yeah. I had the photos. I like shooting photos, and because those guys were so crazy. Like, you know, Dennis McGrath was a big supporter of mine. We shot a lot in the early days. I really like photos. I like magazines, man. I love that shit. And video I like, but like I told you, my patience I'm just skating because it makes me feel good. Like if I got to work for it, then it's not fun anymore. For me. And I get the moments where I'll battle a trick, and when I get it, it's relieving, and that's what I want. But yeah, the video, like that's why I don't have too many video parts. I feel like I have a couple here and there, and I never focused on them. It was like, which probably drove the companies crazy.
Right.
I just wasn't that worker that way.
Well, we've seen the evolution of it all. When in the beginning of video, it was, and Tommy Guerrero will tell you this, and the guys from PAL, the filmer just came out and documented what was going on. And if you made something, it didn't care how shitty you made it, you were done and we're going to the next spot. And at some point, it became an art piece where it's like, no, I have to do the best thing. I have to do it as good as I can do it. And it put enormous, and we got to do, I'm not exactly sure. I'd love to know the origin story of the NBD, where all of a sudden people were like, or ABD, like, nope, somebody already did that there. You can't do it. Like, when did that start? Because it wasn't always there. Obviously, vert skaters did lean air after lean air after lean air. It's not like, nope, Chris Miller already did a lean air. You know what I mean? So like street skating definitely brought that to the thing. And then with video and the pressure of all that, it really upped the ante for everybody. And I think that was, I think totally hear what you're saying as far as a skater or a videographer, I'm way more down to go just film what's going on, you know? But when we're filming, like I've been to Pier 7 a lot in my days, and I don't know how many tricks I've actually filmed, put it that way. Like a lot of days watching these guys try to do a manual trick. But it's like, dude, I got tapes and tapes of attempts.
Oh, bails,
yeah. So, I mean, I think like the static trip, it makes sense. Like whenever you're at a new spot, you can film something cool because it's like, nobody's seen this. I've never skated this. And you have that vibe. But when you're like, shit, I already kickflip front boarded that. What am I going to do now? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do they still use that ABDs with the young kid these days? Because they do. Everything's been done. I'll tell you, man, I don't think I've ever filmed a trick with a generator. If I have, it might have been one, because that didn't make any sense to me. Like, that's too much work. That's too much work. No, too much work.
Like I said, I'm trying to not work.
I get it. See, I wasn't a good businessman. That's why I'm doing this. You know, I was never like, I couldn't grab that by the balls, maybe like Jamie Thomas or some of these guys that were like, dude, this is, and you know, I was like, it didn't feel right to work to get the I'm like, that sucks. I want to be like discreet and low key and in the gutter behind the supermarket, you know, quietly. And if you see it, you see it.
Right. Were you still on Element when Nyjah got on?
Yeah, Naija and his dad went on a lot of trips with us. Little Nyjah.
Okay.
Little tiny Nyjah, yeah.
Was that crazy seeing how his dad operated with him?
Yeah. I was there, man. It was talk about being rigid.
Kind of like a soccer mom, like telling him how to do it.
Yes, which was uncomfortable at times because that was way out of our like fucking our world. You know, we didn't have soccer moms or skate dads and stuff.
Skate coach, yeah. And you know, he has some strict philosophies, righteous philosophies, you know, about diet and alcohol and things. Right.
So it was interesting being in a van with a bunch of like skaters, or like being like young and having fun, and then kind of this man like.
Wait, they would go in the same van, or they'd go satellite vehicle?
They'd go in the same van.
Oh shit!
And his brother Adami, I'm sure you've met Adami before. No, Adami's. A couple of his brothers would go too sometimes.
Oh man!
Yeah, it was a trip. We went to Jamaica and Nyjah was little.
And that's with the long dreads.
Yeah, long dreads.
Huh.
I can just remember his dad like holding his hand, just like dragging him through the danger zone, you know, the belly of the beast, and some of the Jamaica or some of these gnarly cities we were in at times.
Wow.
It was crazy.
I can't even imagine. I mean, especially like one extreme with Bam and the partying, and then having a little kid and his dad. It's like,
yeah, and me. And I'm like, crazy. Yeah.
Well, the good news is all eyes are off you. The pressure's off.
Yeah.
When you get there, they're not screaming your name. They're either screaming Nyjah or Bam or Mike.
I'm sure you've heard it with older guys, and they're like, I feel so much better, freer now. I have so much fun skating after my that career. I was a lot of weight lifted off. I didn't like that responsibility.
Was that a hard decision, or was it kind of forced upon you, or like how did it go?
We had contracts, right? Like written contracts, and it was like towards the end, it was like, if we're going to renew it, you need to do more stuff. You need to come out here more, be more productive. And I was kind of fading out of that fucking like, just that huge corporation of Element and Billabong and the advertisements and the like Zoomies. And I'm like, dude, can't we just go like keep it mellow and still make money and be like maybe more core? I had enough of it, man. It just didn't feel right. Yeah. And I wasn't willing to like work harder to do any more with that situation. And people like, you know, the old Donnie was gone, Kenny was gone. It was changing. The team had changed, you know, Donnie and Kenny were gone.
So that's kind of like, I mean, Donnie's like, he was your ticket on, right? He's your phone call, and then he leaves and you're like, ooh.
Yeah, and that's my style. Donnie Barley, like his skating, Reese. Kenny Hughes, like we all know the East Coast and similar terrain.
Yep.
Yeah, that was my shit. But it was awesome. Nodis was on at the end.
Oh, sick.
Went to a trip or two with Nodis in the van.
Okay, and Ray Barbie?
Ray wasn't. I had left by the time Ray.
Okay.
And Brent actually was a big homie at that point. He was on.
Okay, rad. I talked to Brent a while back. He seems like he's doing good. I think he kind of sobered up and he's like doing a lot of positive stuff up in Portland.
Yeah, he was the one man that called me like 7 years ago out of nowhere and was like, Rupp, you need to get on Instagram. People want to see you. We want to see you. Like, even if it's a shove it. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. Like, okay, if Brent actually calls you, you answer.
Yeah.
You know, because he don't say too much.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, all right. So that was just my little Instagram story.
Oh, how cool though.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you about the slap interview. Was that like drug induced, or like it was kind of like it was pretty trippy? I remember like it was kind of. Maybe that was your introduction to Mystic or something.
Yeah, I'll tell you, because my brother is a philosophy major.
Oh, really?
College, a lot of Eastern philosophies.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point in our life, we were just tripping on that. And he did the interview, my brother.
Oh.
So we kind of manipulated it a little to seem a little more like trippy.
Okay, so was it kind of written up? It wasn't a traditional back and forth.
It wasn't like firing off back and forth. It was like, well, let's make it like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The slap one, that was a trip.
I was trying to find it. It's not. I mean, it might be online, but I couldn't find it online. But I wanted to give an example because I remember there was some stuff, and I was like, God damn, I couldn't find it.
It might have been a little corny, but we were tripping.
Yeah, it sounded like it.
A question I have for you, just real quick, my personal thing. I had an interview in Thrasher, and I was an amateur. And it was like an 8-page interview. I'm pretty sure Jake told me that I was the one or the only one amateur at first to have that big of an interview at that time. You might have to fact check that when you have free time, but I've been thinking about that. I want to use that in my quiver, like some bragging rights. And like, I'm pretty sure I was an amateur that had a big interview, and they didn't really do that.
Who was on the cover?
Oh, fuck, I can't remember. It would have been like 99, 98.
Oh,
99.
like right around the Static video?
Yeah, right after the Static, 99. But he was like, we're hooking you up because we don't give big interviews to amateurs.
Ah.
And he wasn't saying it. He was like, dude, this is sick. We're doing it.
If he said it, I believe it to be true.
Yeah.
He didn't like, he wasn't trying to like impress you with some fake knowledge.
Apple pie, Chevrolet, and mom? Nah.
No.
Yeah. Do you got like anything that stands out from your San Francisco experiences? You know, it's my favorite city, so I always like to hear out of towners tell me what's good about it.
Yeah, that was really special in my life. Tony Cox, I met out here on the East Coast.
Okay.
And he was like, you can come stay with me in San Francisco. I live with these guys, and it was Dennis McGrath and Matt McGrath.
Shout out.
And Matt Reasons had just left to go back to Philly. He was staying there. And that's where a lot of his footage was in Thrasher around that time in SF. So I got there, and I met Dennis, and we became friends, and Dennis would take me down to Thrasher and Slap in Hunters Point.
Mm-hmm.
This is all like in my mind from a long time ago. And dude, it was so fucking cool, man. Like he would walk in, introduce me to Jake. You might have been there. I don't know. We go down whenever we wanted to. We go skate and then pop in. Somebody would take us to the warehouse to get gear, shirts and hats and shit, stickers. It was so fucking cool, man. Mickey was around.
Shout out.
I would see Mickey at night, like out at the bars, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And he always had my back.
Hello, my friend.
It was cool. Yeah. Bam and Nyjah. Dennis and Matt knew all the hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool, man. You guys were cool. Like, it was so embracing. And that's where, if I moved anywhere, it would be Northern California. Like, I feel like it's in my heart. I love how it makes me feel.
Okay. Hell yeah. I just love the air. Whenever I go somewhere else, when I fly back in and I get off the airplane, that first breath of air, it's different, and I just appreciate it a lot. It's probably, I'm not saying it's better or worse than anywhere else, but it's so familiar to me that it's what I crave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love taking the trips up north from the city and driving, up to Humboldt,
Mendocino. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's beautiful up there. Yeah. And the trees, I mean, you can literally, me and my wife went up there, and you just breathe better. Like, you really feel the joy of just being able to breathe without like the city smog and all that stuff.
They say that's like the number one benefit of living up there is the air from the trees,
I believe
circulating it. Yeah. When I got to SF, they had just passed Proposition 215 medical.
Oh.
You're 96, 97, Dennis.
And you could just like get a thing for your, what was it? An ID that they give you like a sticker for or something so you could get it, or right?
And you had to have a California license to get it. But it was pretty big, and like Dennis Perone was there, that, like that history was very interesting and fascinating. Coming from this little town in Maryland, it was cool.
Holy shit.
And then I'll like watch like a weird movie, like, that movie Milk, about Harvey Milk?
Yeah.
I'll just go and then they're talking about Dennis Perone. I think I'm saying his name right. And it was like, dude, I was there in 97. Like, I remember those billboards and shit. It was great. It's cool.
Yeah. The history is, you go back east and there's a lot more history because obviously they were there first. But like, we got some cool stuff in SF. The gold rush and all that stuff too is pretty cool. Like some of the hills, like outside of the city, if you go into the hills, there's like old mines and different things that are really interesting.
Yeah. So I stayed like right by the Panhandle.
Okay.
In the Golden Gate, so that was we'd always be in the Panhandle and then make our way out to the beach.
Hop, skip, and a jump from Haight Street. Get some like whatever they're selling on Haight Street, and then head down to the coast.
Yeah, and food and being like, you know, all the food was amazing, and the vegetarian natural food stores everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, that was cool.
Okay, I got a little story for you. I hit up. I see that you're wearing a Ignition skate shop hat.
Yeah,
good friends with old Brian Sieber out there. And I hit him up and he says this. He says, he was real scrawny, but it didn't affect his confidence in the least bit. Always the funnest to skate with. The longer the wife beater he had kept extending below his waistline, his pop continued to get higher. It was like basically you started out, and we use the term wife beater here because that's what we know him as, but we don't endorse wife beating at all. I just need to say that in 2022, you know. There you go. But what is interesting, he was like, you used to wear those under tank tops, and they would get longer and longer as your pop got higher and higher.
He might be drinking too many Yinglings up there. He's like an hour from here. I talked to him. But that was the fad, though, those wife beaters at the time.
Yeah.
Especially from Baltimore.
Who influenced that? Was it Bucky?
Bucky was an influencer, yeah.
I could see you doing this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were always behind the trends out here in the country, man. Like we go to the city, Baltimore City, and they had the new styles. Brian is a big supporter of mine, man. When I got on Instagram, he was one of the first persons like, what's up? Like cause we grew up skating together, you know?
Brian's a solid ass dude. I have the pleasure of waking up 3 hours earlier than him because I'm on the West Coast. So I get up early. I'm cursed with like 5:30 a.m. getting my coffee at 6. But he's one of the guys that I can text at 6 because it's 9 his time, you know?
Yeah.
So I text with him a lot in the mornings and we just rattle each other's brains. Like this morning, I was asking him who had the best front side nose slide in the biz.
Okay.
What's who? Huh?
Sava?
Sava's in the conversation for sure. His was LeVar McBride.
Good one.
He like LeVar McBride. He's got this stereo photo at EMB that he's got. But there's also Keith Huffnagel.
Mm-hmm.
Moses.
Good one.
Akanen.
Good one, yeah.
And then my little buddy Pancho Moeller, cover of Big Brother.
Good one.
Yeah. What do you got?
I can just
Sava?
I can stop right. I can just see like him coming. I can just get it in my head. Yeah, just wow.
That toy machine video. He's got a line to one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to Hell was great. We watch that all the time.
Dude, so I met Sava. So this is the crazy story. I'll make it short because everyone knows it, but I met Sava editing Thrasher video number 8 in the upstairs at my mom's house. Like Fausto called me and was like, can you edit this video? So me, Paul Zwanich, and Sava edited this Thrasher video on a computer that was not meant to edit video. And so it was a crazy experience. But Sava was already like at that time, the toy machine video was just about to come out. So I had got to like really hear the stories of like the Muska leaving and like all the gnarly shit that was about to happen and the Deathlands. Like that was that toy machine video was like, it was a huge deal when it came out.
We were talking about that here, like Muska's gone. Josh Kalis or Lenny Kerr, Jamie Thomas is pissed.
Yeah.
You know, like we were catching that.
So crazy. Yeah. So
hold on. My first time I met Sava was in Tampa. Like I was like 20 or 21. And I had known who he was and he knew who I was. We were all hanging with the crew at the hotel. He was like, watch this. He lit a cigarette, fully clothed, jumped in the pool, went underwater with the cigarette, and then blew the smoke out, and he came up out of the water.
Oh, really?
Yeah, jumped in his clothes. I'm not kidding, man. I was like, Sava, whoa, nice.
Some crazy pool stories always happened in Tampa. Remember Duffy doing the thing off the top of the hotel? It was like a sequence, a gainer.
Yeah, he just was like, watch this. You blow the smoke out underwater and it'll come up out of the water.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is for YouTube viewers only, but check this shirt out I got. I haven't smoked weed in 16 years, but I do got ganja in my brain.
Ganja in My Brain by Ross Matthew Pailes. I'm so glad they legalized the marijuana.
What do you think of that?
We chat all the time, Matt and I.
Yeah.
And now, another first impression from Matt Pailes.
So my first impression of Rupp, I think, was when I was watching footage of Rupp, and I was with, I think, Ricky Oyola and Matt Reason, and they were like, yeah, dude, this guy's like the Philly or the Baltimore Quim Cardona, dude. He's sick. Switch everything, you know. He does the ninja legs. And they were like, you know, and he had the ponytail. And so I was like, oh, this guy's sick, you know. And then I think the first time meeting him was maybe at a Satori demo. I remember looking out in this field and I was like, oh, that's that Rupp guy. And he's like, had his long hair and he was like doing some yoga with his shirt off in the sunshine. Like us, we were all real hippied out back then. So we were getting in the vibes and he was getting ready to skate. But man, he was just sick and we clicked right away and we've been friends ever since. But another sick memory was when I was in Japan with him and he was skating that flat bar with Field and just him nollie backside 180 over that bar and just doing the ninja legs, and it was just so rad. Switch backside 180 over this flat bar that was at least like, you know, be a sick ollie pretty much. So yeah, man, that's some good memories I got of Rupp's to. All right, peace out.
He's a good dude. He kind of put me in touch with you more or less. Like your name came up through a conversation we had, and then I was like, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he's like, I just talked to Schmitty. I dropped him. And he said, yeah. I'm like, dude, let's do it. Get him, send him. Let's do it.
Hell yeah. What do you think of his vibes? Do you listen? What do you think of these songs and stuff that he's putting out?
Dude, I think it's awesome. He's so creative and he's been doing it for so long, and you can see how he moves, you know, he'll go to different studios. He's got a crew that backs him.
And he's also, speaking of Instagram, he's skating a lot. Like he gets you fired up because he's in these ditches and he's skating a lot. Sacramento spots.
Hard to skate, dude. You know, you want to go to a skate park and not push. He's like extra pushing.
No, you want to go to the river, dude. It's 106 degrees.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing skating at noon? He's like, I love the heat.
Yeah, fucking gnarly. Sacramento.
So,
I was like, dude, can I come out? Can we go to Modesto? And he was like, dude, it's gnarly there.
So tell me about the Satori movement.
Yeah, Satori
True or false?
movement.
You got a new wheel in 22.
True. Yep, as true as the sun came up this morning.
All right.
I'm very stoked and honored and fucking cocky. I'm stoked. I'm like, damn, Craig, because, you know, we all know Craig and Jedley.
Shout out.
Satori will be 25 years coming up here.
Oh, is it?
In business, yeah.
Okay,
and,
good.
Craig and I washed dishes at Woodward. That's how we met.
Wow.
And him and his buddy wanted to start a wheel company. And a lot of it, or a big part of it, we talked about at Woodward, just vibing, do this, and you gotta do this. And he's from Georgia, and would see him in Tampa, and we just kept connecting. And he moved to and when I went out there with Tony, I fucking saw him walking down the street. Like no phones, like just saw him. We were out skating. We're like, what are you doing here? And it was awesome. And then I had a wheel, I had a pro wheel 20 years ago. And like, I kind of like left, but I didn't have social media. So after Element, I was like, you could call me if you knew my number, but I didn't leave like a 10-mile radius for about 10 years. I was skating, but I was like private ramps and private, So after the Element thing, I left. I just like left all my sponsors. iPath. I just was done with all of it. But Craig would call me every year, once or twice, say what's up, and ask me like, you want to go with me to here, or you want to come out here? So Satori Craig always, every year for 20 years, he supported me.
That's amazing. Good dude.
Yeah, and did some rad things with them, man. Jamaica, Japan. To go to the mountains in Japan, because the Japanese with their mysticism and Buddhism, they were like Satori. They took us up in the hills and taught us stuff. Epic, radical times. Satori, man, they just re-released my wheels. I set them up on my kitchen counter. Spencer Hamilton, Brian De La Torre, Neen Williams, Jake Rupp, what the fuck?
Whoa, and I got Neen Williams next week.
Yeah, nice. I'll show my kids. I'll be like, dude, check this dude's Instagram out. See how many followers he has. He's like millions. I'm like, Spencer Hamilton or Neen. I'm like, look at this. Your dad has got a wheel of these dudes.
Oh my God. You got how many? You got two kids?
Oh, my daughter's 19 and my son is 14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is the older one getting into the restaurant too, or?
My older one goes to college up in Pennsylvania. She just finished her freshman year and she did well. Damn. Her name's Kaya. And then Caden is my son, and he's a jock, football. He's like an athlete.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they can skate a little bit, but they could care less about Dickies and fucking t-shirts, which is awesome. They're not trying to be like me, or they'll go skate a little bit here and there, but they have their own little deals.
Do they know who Peter Tosh is?
Of course. Yeah. He's rolling over in his grave as we legalize it.
Oh man. Okay, I got a good one for you. Ready? The top 5 heads that we're gonna put on Mount Dreadmore. The five all-time dreads.
Yeah. You would have, I think you might have to, if I say what I don't want to date my age, because, I feel like I don't want to leave out the Alva dudes. But maybe my generation, you got to say Pailes, Fields, and Rodriguez. Straight out of the iPath ad. Dude, Ademo Jr.'s dreads, those were huge. Quim had some good dreads. Oh man, Craig had some good dreads. Craig.
Yeah.
But the 3 mats, that's pretty heavy.
3 mats, and then we'll just put 2 more in there.
Okay, 3 mats. I'm trying to think. Carlos Young. What an epic style!
Yeah.
Like that.
What about what was his name? Milton
Neves. Live with Joey T forever for a while. Yeah. I would say Adelmo Jr., Quim, and the 3 mats.
Quim's got to be in there just because it's Quim.
Yeah, his fucking photos, man, they're so iconic.
I like it. I like this little rhythm I've got with these different Mount Rushmores. We did the Canadian Mount Rushmore with Descenso.
I saw that.
A lot of people were upset that he left Rick Howard out of the equation, just for the record. That wasn't me. That was Descenso.
That can get confusing because I kind of forget that Rick Howard is from Canada sometimes.
Yeah.
Like lumping girl into LA or whatever.
I mean, Colin McKay he's a top contender. He's a vert skater, but he's one of the best of all times at vert skating. So it's tough. A lot of people were like Sluggo because he's Sluggo. There was so many, like I got hit up with a lot of DMs like, what? Like it was rad. I love when people come in with their, like they actually care, you know?
Their feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was McCrank a shoe-in?
Yeah, McCrank was in Appleyard. They were, I think McCrank and Appleyard were in everybody's. Moses and Mac now were high in a lot of people's, but it was the last two, kind of like you were like the three staples, and then these two, the last two get real like touchy feely with some people.
A little shaky.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's funny. Like I said, I don't have a lot of patience, so I've listened to some of Talkin Schmit.
Talkin Schmit, dude.
It's way too long for you.
Well, two notable ones that I enjoy were Fred Gall.
Fred Gall saves monks. I swear to God.
And Albino.
Provoking the
sick.
scope.
Which I don't know Albino, never met him, but the house video.
I was there.
Is one of my favorite videos. When that came out, I love that. And I know who he is just from following that stuff. I'm like, this dude's sick. I like his style. So I listened to that one.
Albino's a beast. I went and filmed. These guys made right by Thrasher where the old Hunters Point skate park was. They tore it out and put a new one in there. And I went and filmed the making of it. And Albino's just lifting these cement guns. I mean, the dude he's just, and then he skates the same way. And then he's just all down for fun. Like it's a really good attitude. I like that.
Yeah, out here, because there's so much shit out there, man, to look at. But you gotta I'm not watching that. There's no way I'm watching that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I know who this guy is. I know this. I want to see this. And I was tripping on Fred Gall, like talking to you, and like the phone, he's like this, like walking and shit. I love that. I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, I think Fred Gall's the same way. Like he has a little ADD or something where he's got to just be moving all the time.
Yeah. I like that.
Do you have a lot of free time or not really?
I do have a lot of free time. I feel like I work 5 Monday through Friday.
Are you like into art or like you're doing gardening and stuff? Like what kind of stuff are you doing?
Yeah, I garden a lot. I love spending time outside. I live on 15 acres. So I have a little bit of woods too. So I hang out in the woods, man, tripping out. The kids, they're on their own trip. They're older, 14 and the 19's an adult, but my 14, football practice, football games.
Are you out by that compound out there where they do, what's his name? The dude that fucking, God damn it, how do I not know his name right now? His brain fire, but he's got like the fire and all kinds of skate shit. It's like out there it's by Pennsylvania, I think, in Ohio.
Yeah, Skatopia.
Skatopia, exactly. God, my brain.
That's like I've never been there. That's 10 hours away, but a group of guys is going. Like Andy Roy's, I could go on a trip with Andy Roy to it next weekend.
No way.
Yes, I just went on a trip with Andy Roy a couple years, like 2 years ago. I never met him.
How did that happen?
Dude, my friend Lonnie out here is hooked up with Bam and Castle Bam, and Bam has his own big warehouse out there, up here. He's hooked up he's a filmer, my friend. And he knows Andy and got Andy to come out here. We went up to Boston in a minivan. Like I went in a van with Andy Roy. Seaver actually was like, "Are you with Andy Roy right now?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am."
That rules.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. And we're friends. Like now it's like I can text them or whatever, just skate shit, whatever, family.
Well, he cleared his brain and he's so, I mean, that dude does skateboard I talk to him regularly. I love Andy. He's got like a lot of knowledge and a lot of passion all wrapped up into that small little fucking, let's go.
We have, he's an elder and wise in some things that I need to hear, because after Element there, man, I got lost in the sauce. heavy, just self-medicating with that, you know, pimp juice handles of the cheap vodka, Vladimir, like that, going that level.
Okay. Straight?
Mix it. Mix it. So we call it like pimp juice or mountain juice, whatever you can mix it with.
Well, anything.
Iced tea, soda,
Mine was cranberry.
Cranberry
juice.
And 30 packs weren't cutting it no more, you know.
Oh, wow.
And I pulled myself out of that with some help of people and family and friends, and talking, you know, Andy shed some good insight onto that.
Hell yeah, that's sick.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah.
Is that with Novak too?
Novak too is on that trip. Yeah, is on a sober trip. Yeah.
Yeah, both those guys. I haven't drank in, I think it's around 6 years, and both those guys have like chimed in from time to time. I much like skateboarding. I feel like, and I'm not preaching. I never want to preach to anybody. I have no regrets. Everybody do their thing. But for me, having the camaraderie when you're trying to like improve your own, you know, whatever it is, whether it be just trying to lay off something that's hard for me to lay off, having the encouragement of people that you respect and love, like a dude like Andy Roy telling you like, dude, I know, and telling you some shit. That shit goes so far. I think it's super important. A lot of people find this path the older they get. I mean, when you're 21, it's go, go, go. And then you get to about 40 and you realize you can't go, go, go. And you have to save your energy for what really matters. I mean, this is my experience. Some people are Bukowski and they can do it their whole life. But it's cool, just like skateboarding, where we have the camaraderie of like a little club of bro, you know, or girls or whatever that can encourage one another, or just like, dude, give me a call. Yeah. And you're like, man, that made such a difference.
Yeah.
So big ups to them.
Yeah, man, it's been 4 years since I've drank.
No way.
Yeah. So, and my life has gotten better from not drinking.
You just influenced somebody.
When you stopped initially, did you, Dan Pencil, he tells me you go from pints to pint.
Trading in pints for pints.
You lose alcohol and all of a sudden you crave sugars. Like, were you eating ice cream or candy?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. And plus I like a stoner, I get the munchies, you know what I mean?
Right.
Pretty normal either way.
Uh-huh.
But yes, I did eat a lot more. I probably gained a little weight, but fuck that, man. I was clear-headed.
The focus is incredible, right? It's almost to a fault where you can just like focus so much more and you're like, oh.
My nerves were so shot, anxiety, the hangover anxiety. It was time to stop. Like you said, it was cool, 20s, 30s. Now what?
Yeah. Plus repetition, man. Like we're creative people. You can't just be like night after night at the same stool with the same drink. Like it's like 20 years, you're like, kind of need to mix this up a little.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, I do go to bed at 10. I'm a 10 club now. I used to be a 3 or 4 a.m.er, but I never thought I'd say it, but I found I love mornings now. Like I love waking up and watching the sunrise and having the first go at the day before anybody else is there. It's like, this is mine. Like it feels like I get this. Like no one can interfere with me right now. And it's really cool.
One thing, I think it might have been a Jason Jesse interview. He was talking about not drinking and how he liked being in control.
Hi, you found me. It's hard to find me because I'm so into art.
And I relate that to myself because like I can go out anywhere and I can leave. I can drive myself home or I can help out friends or family. When I was on it, man, I only had a limited option. I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it's either a nearby bush or the back of your friend's car.
Yeah, so the ability to just be like, I can take care of anything at any moment because I'm not fucked up.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool, man. That's good to hear.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's, and Donnie Barley's big supporter.
Shout out.
He was he's on a sober trip for a while now. Yeah. He was always calling over the years, like, dude, stop. Like, do you want to stop? Or what do you know?
It ain't easy. And that's, you know, we all have.
And those are the terms that I feel comfortable with. Like, I don't feel comfortable calling myself an alcoholic or using that term. And this, like, I can relate the the depression. And dude, if I can get the beer, that'll go away. Like, these feelings.
Right.
And then they come back tenfold, 12 hours later. Debilitating anxiety. And fuck all that noise of apologizing the next day. Like, fuck, now what did I do? That whole thing. I'm glad to be out of that.
So what is skateboarding like for you these days? Are you cruising into town mostly to just cruise around the streets, or do you got a little set up in your thing, or what?
We have some nice parks, man. All these new parks being built everywhere.
No way.
There's concrete ones everywhere. So on the weekends I hit different parks. There's some in Baltimore. Maybe once or twice a month I'll hit the streets. If I call them, I call the younger guy, the street soldiers. Like, dude, I'll go with you guys.
Okay. How far is Baltimore?
It takes me like 35 minutes to get into the city.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I like Baltimore.
At this point in my life, it's like those street days really are they take it out of you. The park's mellow.
And it, like I said before, to me, the park gets old when the park gets old. But when there's new park, like if you go on a trip and you hit a new park every day, it's so fun. Like just to find the coolest part of this place you've never been at, and like get comfortable with it till you can like do something fun on it, is like, that's a real cool experience.
I have a stepdaughter who's 14. She skates like a maniac. That's all she wants to do.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, sure. I'll take you to let's go. Where do you want to go today or this weekend? We'll go here.
Uh-huh.
So I get out and about, and I get to a lot of like functions or events, local contests for the kids.
Uh-huh.
Through her, but through the homies too. Like Brian will do some events, and I'm in that community, which is cool. It feels good.
Okay, well, you got to help. You got to be on Team Schmitty's trying to get Sieber on the podcast, and Sieber's down, but he wants to wait till Upson's down and do it together. So I don't know how we're gonna get Upson down to Ignition, but
I love that. I love that. The Upson, Sieber, Lancaster, like that's what a mysteriousness.
Yeah. Well, the rumor was that I was going to try to come out there for a while and get to see a bunch of these areas, because I've traveled a lot of the United States, but there's an area up in your neck of the woods that I don't know. I don't think I've even ever been to. There's certain, like I've never been to Maine. I think parts of Connecticut, like I've been in very small parts of Connecticut. I love Baltimore. We skated that spot where they filmed The Wire. They're like crusty banks and stuff in there.
That's what it's called, the Wire Spot.
The Wire Spot, yeah.
That's what it's called, yeah. But Gary Smith is there with View Skate Shop.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, Gary Smith from OG.
Shout out to Gary Smith. Nice.
Gary Smith and View, man, they hold it up. He's a big Rupp supporter.
Okay.
I'm on the team. He called Pit Crew when they closed and was like, can Rupp ride for View? And they were like, of course.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anything else we should touch on, or did we do a good job?
I think I said the kids, right? You got Kaya, Caden.
Shout out.
And Kelsey,
Shout
my stepdaughter.
out.
They rip. They all rip at everything.
What position in football?
What is it called, dude? Running back.
Oh, really?
He can run the ball.
Nice.
And
Is he quick?
He's quick, and he's like a solid little bastard.
Okay. Hell yeah.
And man, I was never into organized sports, but the responsibility and respect that is taught him is amazing.
To play football, I'm sure there's gnarly, vigorous workouts that they have to keep their body in shape like all the time.
All praises due to those coaches, man. They fucking work all day, then go and coach for free. You know? On that note, man, and on that with the kids, you know, like skateboarding is really popular, not to you, but to people out there listening. There's so many young kids these days in the female contingency that's out there that we see all the time. It's important that we support the kids and the female contingency.
Yeah, you got it.
We've had issues. I'm sure it's all over, but there's some foul issues at these skate parks with people disrespecting girls, females, or the young kids. Like right now, present day that we're dealing with locally, just bullshit issues. You know what I mean? I think we can all relate to that and fucking help qualm that. You know?
Yeah,
be part of the solution.
It's such a crazy one because a lot of times I feel like I live in a bubble. I live in a pretty progressive area. And so like what's in my neck of the woods isn't necessarily an example of what is totally out there in the entire country. But that stuff has to be taken.
I don't want to get like self-righteous right here, priest, but we're dealing with some very real issues locally, like present day, that are foul. It's like they got to go. They're not welcome here or in skateboarding.
Yeah. Okay. Shit.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I agree 100%. The women skateboarding has evolved into something so cool. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah.
Were you a part of Element when Vanessa was on Element?
Yeah. Vanessa was awesome.
She's kind of one of the best. She's just
she's
cool.
A badass.
Yeah.
Bad to the bone. She was cool. She kept us all in line too. Good. She could get talking, you know. And ripping.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, man.
Fuck, man. It's really good catching up with you.
Thank you. I'm honored. I told my mom, I'm like, I was so bummed when we couldn't do it the other day.
Yeah, me too.
I don't want to piss him off.
No, not at all. I was looking forward to it too. We always end the show with a song.
Dude, I like the karate one, the Sizla karate one.
Okay, hell yeah. Whenever
my kids know who Peter Tosh is, they definitely know who Sizla is.
Sizla, every time he reminds me of Cardiel. Cardiel he's the reason I knew who Sizla was for the first time. So I got mad love for that. I'm down for that one for sure.
Cool.
Dude, I appreciate you taking the time, and don't be a stranger. Feel free to reach out whenever. It's good to catch up. It's been way too long.
Super cool. I'm stoked. And I'm an early riser too. If you ever feel
well, I'm always looking for a good little, what I love to do is walk the streets with coffee, stimulating my brain and thinking. I'm kind of like a Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like I just am trying to take the piss out of like stuff that I'm seeing or thinking. And I'm like, I wonder about that. Why is that?
Fuck, I want to come out there and do that at sunrise.
Yeah, hit me up anytime. I'm always looking for a little companion in the morning.
Cool, thank you.
We'll be the coffee crew.
Yeah. Tell everybody I said what's up. If you see anybody.
I will do, man. Oh, yeah. And if there's any chance of you coming out this way, hit me up and let me know.
Cool, man.
All right. We did it. We did it. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Talkin Schmit. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. When you subscribe, you'll get notifications every Tuesday of new episodes the minute they become available. Also, please leave reviews and a 5-star rating. It's the best way to help the show grow. All of the episodes will always remain free, but if you would like to help support the show, you can do so at TalkinSchmit.com, where you can pick up some merchandise like t-shirts, beanies, hats, and stickers. The website has an entire archive of all of the episodes, with extra photos and videos. Email us with any suggestions, comments, or ways that the show may have improved your life at talkinschmit@gmail.com. All interviews are conducted, edited, and produced by Schmitty. The intro music is Mary's Cross by the band Nature. A very special shout out goes to the executive director, Sharal Camisa.
Shout out.
Love it! This is Talking Schmit, where the Rolodex is deep, but the conversation is deeper.
Keep the wheels greased.